Hello everybody, Carol Garrison here with Carol's Creative Escape. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It is Monday, November 6th, and I am thrilled that you're taking some time out of your schedule, whether it's to watch this live or on replay. Again, I recognize how busy everybody is, so I appreciate any time that you can spend watching these videos. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, have been with Stamping Up! For about 10.5 years. But I've been making cards for more than 30 years, and my goal is to simply spread joy one card at a time. I hope everybody's had a great week. We kind of ended up with a busy weekend. I got to have Cece overnight, Friday night to Saturday, and she's just a busy girl, so she kept me running on my 2 feet plus a little bit more, it felt like. We had a little bit of fun, just went down to the mall and went into a shoe store, and Cece's young, so she's still in her stroller, but we found some of the gaudiest, sparkliest, high-heeled shoes that you can imagine in the store, and was letting her try them on. Sorry, I'm moving a cat off my work table here. Just let her have fun trying them on, and it was fun to watch her face. She definitely had some favorites. And I'm grateful that she couldn't walk, because most of those shoes would have been impossible just based on the really high heels that they all had. But if you ever need some cheap free entertainment, that's a good thing to do with little kids. Anyhow, just got yard work done and stuff like that, and catching up on some of our house projects. So again, hope you all had a good week. And I am going to jump in tonight and show you my card. I'm using a suite of products actually called Meandering Meadows, which is available for you to start ordering tomorrow. And it consists of a stamp set, dies, designer paper, some embellishments, as well as some ribbon. And I've got a couple different card examples to share with you. And then I'm going to use this paper to recreate one of my favorite swing fold cards. Kind of recreating one that I created a few years ago. It was actually one of my first videos that I made. So let's go ahead and get you flipped over here and get started on this. Just a moment, please. Hopefully it's going to start showing up here. I think I got it right. Yep, there I am on that screen. And I notice my phone is getting low, so I am going to plug it in. Excuse me. Still suffering with a little bit of my cough, but at least my voice is, I think, far more normal than it's been. Add some light to the table. And clear off my stand, because I'm going to need a lot of workspace. I know last week when I did my cards, my workspace was so dirty, just messy, that I didn't want to show any of it. I did spend some time getting that clean, so at least I have a space to work with. But tonight I do have, I need to use my big die cutting machine and stuff, so I want to make sure that I've got space for everyone. Hey, Ann and Donna, thanks for joining me. So the stamp set and the products in this suite, I'm going to start with our stamps. It's the Garden Meadow stamp set. And it's got cute little gate, rain boots, wheelbarrows, some different flowers and plants and things like that. It is a photopolymer stamp set, so it's a clear stamp set. And I'm going to actually be brave and use black ink tonight, so I'm hoping that a tip I show you is going to help not stain my stamps just too much. But if it does, it does. And then these are the coordinating dies that go with it. So you can see that there's one for the wheelbarrow, the little bird, set of birds here, the little, I always called it the scritcher. I don't know what the name of it is. A little hand trowel, some rain boots. So a lot of these dies will coordinate with that as well. I'm going to show you a card that used this die, but I'm not actually going to use any dies from this set in my card tonight. I like this, that it will also die cut a fence if we need that. So I think there's some fun possibilities. I have not had a lot of time to play with this, but I'm going to do that in the next couple weeks. It includes these adhesive back. They're called dragonflies and birds. There's 2 different types of birds. I don't know, kind of a bigger bird and then a swooping bird, kind of swallow-like, and then a bird flying the other direction, and then these dragonflies. What I like about these is, I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see there's really no thickness to these. So you're not going to add a lot of bulk to your cards. They're basically flat. So I'm trying to get them on camera here just a little bit better. But it's not going to add a lot of depth. They're almost as thin as paper. So those are a lot of fun. And of course, they're self-adhesive. It also comes with this ribbon, which is called Center Stripe Ribbon. It's a 3/8 inch ribbon. And it's just got kind of a real soft stitch in the center that is pecan pie in the color. And the rest of it's just a woven ribbon. So it's easy to tie and kind of play with it. It isn't as smooth as some of the shinier ribbons in terms of, you know, how it pulls through and stuff, but it ties bows real nice and everything. So I think it's going to be a great ribbon to have to enhance our cards. And I suspect it's going to be very versatile just because it's so neutral in color. And then the designer series paper that goes with this is one of those 6x6 packs that you get 48 pieces of paper. It includes 4 of each design, lots of different designs. And I'm just going to run through these real quick for you so that you can see them. Oh, I've got cat hair and stuff all over. All right, we've got this page. You can kind of just figure out the whole Meandering Meadow part. Back side of that is just this all over pattern. And then we've got this colorful one again with the meadow in the background. And the back side of this kind of looks like clouds, sort of a sunset. Clouds in the sky. And then we've got this lovely one that's got kind of little daisies and that type of thing. The meadow in the background with stormier skies, I guess. Great background papers, I think. And we've got this pretty one. I really like it with those different colors that you've got in there. And this is the back side of that one. So again, a good all over design, which would provide a great background piece. And then here we've got one kind of going along a little creek that comes out of the meadow. And just an all over neutral kind of background design. This one features the crushed curry color. And then just a blueberry bushel background piece. Some black-eyed Susans on this one. With a real pretty kind of petal pink and pumpkin pie kind of colors. Then we've got a little walking path maybe going through the meadow. And a darker neutral background. Looks like a little bit of blueberry bushel, shaded spruce sort of colors in there. Great masculine card you could make with that. And then here we've got another one. This is kind of more of a blurred image. It's probably my least... Sorry, I've got cats now climbing stuff next to me. Kind of a blurred image. I think this is so far probably one of my least favorite, but it is still very, very pretty, and I'll come up with something good to make with it. And I like this pattern just because it's a pop of colors, so it's going to go with a lot, but be a great background piece again. And then we've got this one again, kind of another little path going through the meadow, and a green background. And then finally, not finally, we've got this one. I've got 2 more sets to show you. And the back side of that is just another all over of the shades of green that are in the paper. And finally, we've got this one with a little bit of an outcrop of some trees in the middle of the meadow area with a nice pecan pie background piece that we can use. And then for this set of paper, there is a ton, absolute ton of cardstock that's going to go with it. We've got Highland Heather, Shaded Spruce, Fresh Freesia, Pecan Pie, Crushed Curry, Pumpkin Pie. I think we're getting ready for Thanksgiving here. Petal Pink, Blueberry Bushel, Night of Navy, Melon Mambo, Lemon Lime Twist, Granny Apple Green, Shaded, nope, not Garden Green, Cherry Cobbler, Blueberry Bushel, and Basic Black, as well as Balmy Blue. And I think the underlying color is probably going to be more of a very vanilla than Basic White. But again, just lots of possibilities with all those colors, and they cross over several of the color groups as well. So I think you're going to find it to be very versatile and easy to adapt to a variety of projects. So the card I'm going to make today, I don't know, a long time ago I made this swing gate card with the Whale of a Time was the suite of products that went with that. And this one just opens up a little bit differently. And I loved how the scenery turned out when I used this paper that came in that suite. And so when I saw this paper, I thought, I have to recreate that card because it's just so pretty. So I am using tonight a piece of designer paper like this, Crushed Curry, and Basic White. This is it for what you need to create this card. So it's one of those cards that really gives you a lot of punch, but doesn't take a lot of work to make. And if you know me, that's my favorite kind of card to do. So I am going to start by doing some stamping on the inside of my card first. I should probably give you measurements. This piece measures 5.5 by 8.5, and it's just scored at 4 1/4. And then this piece measures 5 by 8, scored at 2 inches, 4 inches, and 6 inches. And then the Designer Series paper is 4 by 5 1/4. And one of the things that I did, because it was the scenery paper, I was careful to see where it was going to land. And basically what I did is just cut off, I needed to take off 3/4 of an inch. So I just took off 3/8 of an inch from this side of the designer paper and 3/8 from this side. And it pretty much kept my scenery intact. And then I needed to, of course, take 2 inches off for this way. And I just pretty much took an inch and an inch. You got to just sort of look at the paper that you're using to figure out where you're going to trim it. But that's really all that I did. I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to figure that part out. So what I'm going to do now is some stamping and coloring. I am using the wheelbarrow stamp set because that's how I want to decorate the inside of my card. And what I'm going to do, because black does tend to stain our photopolymer stamps, I'm actually going to start by coating my stamp with Versamark. That's going to leave a clear coating on here that is not going to affect my final stamped image, but what I'm hoping is that it is going to protect my stamp from getting stained with the black ink, or at least not stained too badly. If it does, it does. It just helps me see the lines a little better anyhow, so I don't worry too much about it, but sometimes it's hard when it's a brand new set of stamps. And then I'm just going to follow it up with my Memento ink. I'm going to be coloring with my I got to wipe that off a little bit because I'm concerned that I'm going to get solid marks on my railings. I got a little bit too heavy. So I'm going to start over here on inking that one up. And now I lost track of where I was at. Oh, I'm going to be using my blends to color this card. And so I want to make sure that I've got a non-alcohol based black ink that I'm working with. And that's better anyhow because the StazOn really will stain these with the black ink. The Memento, it comes off a little bit better. But again, just by using a little bit, that must be how that stamps up. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so I'm just going to stamp this in kind of the lower corner of my card here on the inside. And all I'm going to have to do is just make sure when I fold it that I fold it correctly. All right, so I've got that done, and you can see there's very little black on here. And by the time I wipe this off on my Simply Chamois, there is not going to be any black ink on here. So it's just using a little bit of Versamark before you put the black ink on will protect your stamps. It does not work quite the same, like I said, with the Stays On ink. That tends to have a more lasting effect on that. But at least you can clean it. And then I always use a little bit of just dish soap to clean off the Versamark when I'm washing that stuff. Just one moment, please. Miss Zelda, you need to get down. Sorry, the cat was getting into some of my sharp tools on my sewing shelves over there. I didn't think that was a good idea. The other stamp that I'm using from this stamp set is the Happy Birthday. And I've already cut just a piece of scrap basic white. I'll confess I've got 2 pieces just in case I have issues stamping it. And I think for this I'm going to use, excuse me, my crushed curry ink, just to kind of keep in theme with the background paper that I've got there. And this piece of scrap just measures 1/2 inch by, I think it's 2 1/4 inches, but I just kind of I don't like that because I think I put it on crooked. Okay, the cat is climbing my sewing machine now to get higher on the shelves. So as you can see, the kittens are still very busy and still getting into lots of trouble. My daughter was over today and said, oh, these guys are full-grown cats now. They might be size-wise, but behavior-wise, it's just 2 little kittens running all amok in the house. That's actually not too bad. I think I'm going to stick with that one. And for some reason, she's eating the pegs on the sewing machine pegboard I've got. Up you go. I'll try to get her out of the way. Oh, sorry about that. I guess I should be grateful they're not jumping in the middle of stuff here right now, because they'd probably land in my ink. Okay, so that is it for the stamping that I need to do. I'm just going to let that dry. This has had a chance to dry. And so I do want to just put a piece of scrap paper behind this. And the only reason for that is it does soak through the ink well sometimes. So I'm just going to tear out a scrap that I've got near me here. And I am going to start coloring. Now remember that this is a fun wheelbarrow, so I'm not going to do it in the basic red wheelbarrow color. I'm going to come in with my dark fresh freesia, and we're going to have a purple wheelbarrow, because that's one of the beauty things of creating your own cards, is you can add your own imagination as to how things are going to be colored. So I'm not adding shading or anything fancy to the wheelbarrow itself. I'm just coloring it in my dark fresh freesia, and then I'm going to come back through with, I think I've got basic black. I don't even know some of the colors that I've got here. That's smoky slate. And if we have to, we're just going to make it up. Nope, here I've got it's light basic black, but that'll work for the wheel, or the tire, I guess it would be. And so when you're using the blends, you can shade with them if you want. You can just color. It's totally up to you what you want to do. I'm going to use my light smoky slate, and that color is going to give me kind of a silver tone, is my thought process. So I'm just going to come in and color, you know, these metal support thingies. I'm sure there's a technical name, but thingies is going to work for me. And then I suppose this might be silver too. We'll have a fancy hubcap on ours. There we go. And then we better have a good color for the handle too, don't you think? Maybe I'll just make that my dark fresh freesia too, and we'll have designer handles out here on our wheelbarrow. There we go. And then we just need to come through now and add some color. I'm going to use my shaded spruce, both light and dark, to color the leaves on here. And because there's so many and kind of little, I'm just going to randomly select some to color in the dark green, and then I'll come back in and fill in using the lighter shade of green. Some of these I can't tell if they're leaves or flowers, but that's okay. And then, like I said, I'll follow up with my light shaded spruce. I am using the finer tip, coloring in these smaller areas. And I think once the ink dries, you'll see a bit of a difference. It's just going to kind of highlight stuff. And I think that covers the leaves for the most part. We're going to say that it does. And then I've picked up my Balmy Blue. I'm actually using Daffodil Delight. I thought I had Cajun Craze in blends, but apparently I don't. My fresh freesia, and we're just going to add random colors to the flowers, both in the lighter and darker tones. And again, I'm just going to kind of come through and randomly select a few flowers. Follow up with Balmy Blue. When I open my markers up, you're going to see me kind of pull away from what I'm working on. Every once in a while, if your markers have been sitting unused for a while, there may be a little bit of kind of alcohol liquid that gets just settles in the caps. And so I have found that if I just open stuff away from what I'm working on, I'm not sure what some of this is, but I'm just going to sort of randomly add a little bit of color to it. I have found that every once in a while it'll come and splatter out, and rather than ruin what I'm working on, if I open it up just away from my work surface, then I don't have to worry about getting any ink on, whoops, that's the thick tip. I don't need to worry about getting any of that liquid onto the project I'm working on and potentially ruining it. So that's why you see me doing that. Perfectly natural part of the process here, but it does ruin your stuff if you happen to get it on there. So I'm going to stop with that. I just noticed I missed part of coloring the wheelbarrow along the rim here, so I'm going to come in and fill that in. And now we've got just a real colorful wheelbarrow. And I am actually not putting anything, whoops, on the front of my card. I think I may just be putting the sentiment on the inside, but I'm going to wait and see. I haven't fully decided. So we're going to set that aside for right now. Get rid of all these pens, and I'm going to start with assembling my card. Now, I've got just a regular, like I said, 5.5 by 8.5 inch card, and I'm going to put the Designer Series paper on the front, and we're going to be cutting it out using one of the largest circle dies from the, Stitched. I keep wanting to call it the old name or the name of a previous set of dies, and it's the Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm just using the largest circle. So when I'm taping my paper onto this, I want to make sure I'm not really putting anything in the center except for one little strip. And I'll explain why we're going to do that. So the first thing to do is to get your tape started. Gentle pressure, the check mark, and that generally will keep it from getting gummed up. So I'm putting adhesive around the edge, and I am using quite a bit of adhesive on my edge, and the reason for that is I want to make sure that it sticks because we are going to do a die cut. And then the other thing that I want to do is just put a little bit in the center, because when we die cut, we are going to need that circle again. And I just want to make sure that the two pieces stay together so they are correctly aligned when we're done. I'm centering this onto the card, and I actually didn't get it centered quite as well as I want, but part of that is where my score line fell. So I'm going to be gently removing this. I should have folded along the score line first, and like I said, it seems to be off just a little bit, so I'm going to do a bit of a correction to that and come in with my bone folder. Okay, now I can come back and adhere this and center it. It looks like I've bent it, but it'll be fine. I like to kind of do opposite corners, and if I know they're evenly spaced in the opposite corners, it's going to make the other parts of the card be centered as well, fairly well. Okay, that's much better. Now I've got a border going around it. I am going to just open it up from the inside and press it down because of pulling that paper off. All right, there we go. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to grab my cut and emboss machine here. And we're going to do just make one cut. You can tell I've got some very loved cutting plates. I'm going to stick this piece. I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to put my cardstock in here, and then I'm going to figure out kind of the center for this piece. Left, right, top, bottom. And once I have it in place, I'm just going to grab a piece of washi tape. I've got some washi tape I keep at my desk that has expired or retired, and this is just a good way to kind of keep using it. You could use a sticky note or anything else that you wanted to as well. I'm just going to put it in place because I don't really want it to move a whole lot. I am going to add my plate and run it through this machine, and I am missing one of the dies or the plates that I need because it's not cutting through. That's why they have directions for us. It says using with thin dies. I've got plate number 1, and I'm missing plate number 2. Just a second here. Plate number 2 is just a thin plate that adds a little thickness to that so that it will provide the right amount of pressure. So now that I've got plate 2, I can put my plates number 3 and 3 and create my sandwich. I do want to be careful that I don't get lines on the back piece of this. So I'm actually going to flip it around so that the die goes through first, and I'm going to sandwich it so that this plate will end pretty much right at my score line. That way I'm not going to get marks on the back piece, the back side of my card. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'll get it going in here, and now I'm having to work as I crank it through. All right, there's that satisfying pop. And now let me get rid of this from the camera. What you can see here is I've got, do be careful when you're pulling your adhesive off, because sometimes when it has the pressure of the machine, it can stick a little bit firmer than what you would expect. So now I've got this card that's got a hole in the center, and I've got this circle piece that eventually we'll be using again. So we can set this aside, and we need to grab back this piece that we've got. Now to fold this, we are going to do mountain, mountain, valley. And I'll show you what I mean when I say mountain, mountain, valley. These are folded like a mountain, so they stick up. This is folded like a valley. So you've got a mountain here, a mountain here, and a valley here, if that makes sense. But it's important that this is the fold that we have. And we do want good, tight creases put in here. So I'm just going to grab my bone folder and create. And you don't have to worry about that showing through too, just so that you know, because that's going to be adhered down so you won't even see it. And it looks like I got a little bit of adhesive right along that crease line. So to adhere this to the inside of the card, we are going to put this right along the score line. Now, one of the things that you need to be careful of is that you don't get any tape in this area. So again, when you're adding your adhesive, you only want it on this part of the cardstock because this has to be able to fold and move around. So I'm just going to take my tape runner here and I'm going to put adhesive along, I should have that right there, along this side, and that side, okay? And then again, I'm going to set it right along the score line, and I'm centering it left to right. I don't want it on the score line, just above it, because that way the card will still fold flat. And now I did a great job putting my adhesive on because none of it's sticking through. I always worry when the card is folding over. And then to adhere this piece down, you just need to fold that piece in just like that. So we've got that back side here, and it's going to adhere just on this piece. So again, I'm going to add adhesive. Now I can run it along all four sides, and I'm going to do that simply because of the folding mechanism. That way I know this piece will be adhered. And rather than trying to make sure, oh, I've got it lined up correctly, if I have it folded like this with that adhesive, I can just fold the card over, and that's going to give me exactly the fold that I need. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is attach this piece. Now I am going to slip in a little bit more adhesive along the edge here so that it's not sticking up. I couldn't really do that before because I didn't know where it was going to land. Now, naturally, your instincts, you think you're going to want to fold that and put that right there, but if we do that, it isn't going to open up and stand up correctly. If you look on this card, when you open it up, it kind of flip-flops. So we actually want to adhere this on the bottom part, right in here. So I find it easier to put my adhesive on this piece and attach this, just like so, rather than on the other half. That way I don't have to worry if I get too high with where I place my adhesive. So I'm just going to run with the card laying flat, a piece of adhesive here, and then just kind of loop it around. And again, I'm putting on just a little bit more adhesive than I would use because it's a moving mechanism. And then making sure that I've got a little bit of adhesive on my finger, making sure that I've got the circle pretty much where I cut it. I'm going to line things back up again, and I'm just going to press it down so that it's adhered. You can open it up and kind of rub it down too, just so that I know it's right where I need it. And now we've got that mechanism that's going to allow us to move the card. I am going to decorate this front a little bit, and I am actually going to put my happy birthday stamp on this part. I wasn't sure where it was going to go, but I kind of think we need something to break this up just a little bit. This is already a fairly a thicker card just because of the fold, And so I am going to just put this on with adhesive and not worry about popping it up on a dimensional or anything. You can decorate the front of this card however you want. I am actually going to just leave it plain because I think this paper does all the work for us. But what I am going to use are some of these cute little embellishments. In particular, I like the dragonfly. So I'm going to have a dragonfly or two flying around in the circle. Whoops. These things are actually, you can bend them pretty easily. They're that thin. So we're going to have a few dragonflies buzzing around on this part. And then I think I'll add a bird flying past that tree or sticking to my thumb, depending on which way we're going to go here. I don't really want to use my tools on them because they do bend a little easier. And I think I'll take one of these birds and, oh, that's what I just used. I want one of these smaller birds that's flying in the other direction, and I'll put that in over here. And that just adds a little bit of bling and sparkle to the front of the card. And then when you open it up, you've got a space to write your message. You can still see that lovely circle with our, whoops, I'm too high here. Sorry. When you open it up, you know, on the outside, we've got this lovely circle. We've got our dragonflies and the birds flying around, so that's pretty decorated. But then when you open it up, that circle comes through. You can still see those cute dragonflies, the wheelbarrow that we covered. And you've got a little room where you can write your note to whoever's going to receive this birthday card. That's all it takes to make this card. It's so simple, but it gives quite a pop. So give it a try. We've got lots of cool scenery paper that this card would work with. We have this. Last week I used the, which paper did I use? I used, oh, the beautiful fall paper. Think of a card you could make using that fall paper. There's that holiday Christmas 6x6 that's available as an online exclusive. It's very easy to come up with a card, you know, with a paper that can use this kind of paper, or with a card layout that can use this kind of paper and create quite a pop for you. So this is the card that I made. I wanted to share with you a couple other cards that I made just as I was playing around. I've got this one that is basically just using a piece of this paper that I cut down for scenery. That's all this is. It's got a little bit of the ribbon. I'm using pecan pie paper and Highland heather. And I've created this simple, beautiful card. And I just, on the inside, wrote thinking of you. And I can write a note to whoever I'm giving that to. So again, very simple card, but it shows off this beautiful paper. And then this is a card that was recently done by Susan Campfield, who gave credit to Carol Rosengren for sharing the layout with her. And Carol Rosengren is giving credit to Linda Bowen for coming up with this design. And so this card is incorporating the dies, it's incorporating a fun fold, the stamps, the paper, and again the embellishments. And then I added to the front of mine the Distress 3D brick embossing folder, which just gave a little bit more dimension to this. When I saw that arch, I just knew I needed to have that brick to go with it. Unbeknownst to me, that was actually what Carol and Linda had used on their card. I'd only seen the one Susan had put together. Now, it does have a natural curve to it, but it will lay flat and fit into a regular envelope and not require any additional postage. So that's kind of a fun video that Susan did showing how to make this card too, but I really like how it just shows off and gives a window for that beautiful scenery as you're looking out. You could be looking out a castle window or something. And I made this one a happy birthday card, and it just opens up with a little more paper in there. I can't imagine having a better friend. And because it is 3D and you get kind of this curved thing, it will stand up and be displayed as well. So here's just 3 very different cards that you can use this wonderful designer series paper for, and some of the dies or stamps that come with this bundle of products. So I hope you enjoyed this card and that you give it a try. If you do, please be sure to post it in the comments below. I love to see what other people create, and I do think that we can help each other find our creativity, especially on those days when we're not having much luck with it. And then remember, with the suite of products, it's the stamps and coordinating dies, these wonderful embellishments, this beautiful ribbon, and of course all of that designer paper that I shared with you at the beginning. Have fun, enjoy this suite. It is available for you to start purchasing tomorrow, November 7th. Have a great week, everyone. If you're a voting type, get out, vote tomorrow. It's a big day, and we will see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.